To order with the roll. My name's Peter Ames. I'm Vice Chair of the Commission. Andy Ruggles.
Present.
Judy Brennan.
Present.
Steve Gannon.
Present.
And absent with notice tonight are Jeff Towns, Steve Weber, Chris Burns, and Mike Bosky pending. Members, please rise. Everyone, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, first item tonight is the approval of a couple sets of minutes. We have the minutes from May 27th, June 25th are still pending.
We determined, according to Robert's rules, that the 202 approval of the minutes was a pass, that we had a quorum. The two abstentions do not count in the vote, and so that we don't need to revote that.
Okay, yes, that's correct. All right, so there's no minutes that need approval this evening. Is that correct?
I could not find the June 25th ones. They're not on the website, so we'll have to hold off.
Okay, so we'll come back to that at our next meeting. All right, next is public input. So we will open the meeting for any public input. And it looks like we have some folks on the agenda later on, but would any members of the public like to speak?
Yeah, I'd like to speak if possible.
All right, just come on down, introduce yourself and your residence.
And can I grab the HDMI connection?
Sure can. We're over here.
I'm moving near you, Andy.
Okay.
No comments, so I can see the screen.
Okay. It's gonna be brief.
Looks like you're just in time. Have a seat. Is the TV on? There it is.
Okay, maybe I can blow this up. Okay, I am George Lavash, 13 Pearson Street, member of the Conservation Commission, and this is,
Matt Hoffman, 38 Brickyard, and I'm chair of the Conservation Commission.
and so, we've been working on a bridge project. I think we're gonna call it the Brooklyn Project, Conservation Commission. And since, it's at Parker Park, and since, Parker Park is, owned by the Rec Commission, and we help manage it, there's some funds in town, that are dedicated towards the building of a bridge. When they widened 3A or moved 3A in the corner there, the state took away a bridge, and so there's money in town to fund building another bridge. So we're looking, this has been something we've been thinking about doing for a while, and so we've been doing some work on it, and we thought we'd show you what we were thinking about doing and, bring it to your attention, okay?
Thank you.
Let me see if I can, I don't know if I can make this bigger. So, can you see that? Hold on, let me just.
Command plus.
Excuse me?
Command plus should do it.
Command. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Go.
nice.
And that's why Matt is here. He's my AV guy. Right. So, this section over here is the Parker Park actual piece that the town owns, okay? And the rest of this area is actually owned by the Madnock Community Land Trust. And we do have a deed, that the town has a deed. Maybe it's in terms of the Conservation Commission, I'm not exactly sure. But we do have the right to construct bridges, maintain trails on this property. So we have identified a couple of sites that we think would be good for bridges. These sites, I'll show you some pictures in a second, are above the high water mark, and they will provide a good access from the community garden and possibly make a loop trail. So we have actually cut a little trail down this, there's a spur here that goes down to here. So we made a little trail so that we could cross the bridge and attach to the existing trail here. And we have cut a little, just some brush to get to this access point over here. So there's something like $17,000 in this budget for these bridges. We've done a bunch of work. We looked at building a fiberglass reinforced plastic bridge would come prepackaged, and we put it together. I think we've decided that we might go with telephone pole bridge. When you go into Darrow Pond, if you look to the right, before you get to the fences, there's actually a bridge there, that covers a little swale. And so these bridges will look just like that, except they'll have railings. Okay? Oh, and here's another member.
You telling them about the Brooklyn project?
Exactly.
Yeah, one other thing important thing to note there is that money that's earmarked for the bridge can only be used for a bridge in this property.
Yeah.
That was something when they expanded when they changed 3A, they took out an existing bridge, a snowmobile bridge that used to be there.
Right, and so
And
this,
this funding is specifically set aside to put a bridge on that property.
and this bridge specifically, this number 2 here, that will give us much better access to this part of the property. And that's really old growth, and there's not a lot of vegetation underneath, and it's really serene and peaceful there. And that section of the river, or the brook, is very nice. By building these 2 bridges, we might be able to expand the area for the fishing derby as well, because we'll have better access to that. So it'll improve access to the park-like atmosphere and fishing. So I can show you these. So this is bridge site number 2. You can see that it's kind of narrow here, and I believe there was probably a bridge there back in time. So if I go this way a couple times, and you can see here I've put stakes on either side of the river, and this would be a 30-foot crossing here. And if we bring the poles all the way across to here, we'll be above the high water mark and not have to worry about getting washed away. And this is a picture of bridge number 1 location, and here we have stakes on this side and stakes on this side, and we'd go between these trees. This tree here would act as a natural buffer if waters did rise, and this side we're way above the high water mark. So we've chosen these 2 locations just because we think they'll work best for being able to put the bridge in high water mark. This is a 25-foot bridge, the other one's a 30-foot bridge. We are gonna be going in front of the selectmen to get their permission to spend these funds, so we can actually start, buying materials and putting it in. So we thought we'd bring this to your attention, see if you guys have any questions, concerns. These are actually not on the Parker property, so they're actually on the land trust property, but it's a joint collaboration between the 2 boards, so we thought we should.
So are you looking for approval from us before you go to the Board of Selectmen to say we've been informed and are in favor of it? Does that make it easier for you, or so you don't have to come back to us?
Right, I think, well, if you, it would be nice if you were on board and you showed your support for the project, and, if you had major concerns about it, we'd like to address them if there were any. And we've sort of been going off and doing this, but we thought we should bring it to your attention.
Well, by default, I've seen all the time and energy put into it and all the work you've done at looking at the different types of bridges and the reasons you have chosen the spots and the type you have, so.
And these are strictly pedestrian bridges?
Strictly
Yes,
pedestrian.
Yeah, with railings and,
They'll be
Yeah,
4
there'll be
foot wide,
railings.
4 foot wide with a railing.
okay. Insurance wise, does it matter, like, is that something that got, I don't know if that's something that,
Well, see, they're footbridges, right, so, and they're on a trail, so they don't have to be ADA compliant or anything like that, because they're off on a trail.
Sure.
You don't necessarily have to have railings, but we thought it was a better choice to do that, to be safer. And we don't want them too wide, we don't want people hanging out on them, they're footbridges.
If you needed to get any of our shared equipment down there because something fell or needed a repair, would you be able to get that across the bridge?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're both, that was the trail George was talking about earlier, was to make sure it was accessible by the tractor.
Right, so we're gonna use the tractor to drag the telephone poles down to those locations. And we're gonna have a contractor actually do the construction of the bridge, so that we aren't, laymen doing the bridge. So we'll have somebody who knows what they're doing to build the bridge, but we're gonna use our equipment to set the poles, and we've made the pass wide enough so we can use the 4-wheeler, the tractor, we may be asking for volunteers, you know, when we do the pole setting, just to get the poles across, and we might have to dig a couple of slots, to set the poles, as the foundation.
So it'll help make maintenance a little bit easier too. I know this spring, trying to get to some of the spots that need
Yes,
some
yeah.
clearing or, okay.
That's great. I think
Yeah, I
you know,
love
it. Yeah.
adding some access to that side of the river, I think, will be a
Yeah.
major addition for residents to get over to that side easily. I do have a question just about our relationship with the land trust. Is there anything we need to get from them, or have you been in conversations with them about what
So,
we may need to do?
we have been in touch with Steve Normanton, okay, and, he is, what's his title? Or is it-
Was the manager of the property, but it's actually being
He said-
taken.
Yeah, well, I think the term is, he's like a, I don't wanna say it's member, but he's like a
Like a trustee
member
kind
of
of.
the
Trustee.
land trust, but it's,
Yeah.
Okay.
he's on the board of the land trust, that's what it
And so we, let him know, we sent the same image that I showed there to him, and he's on board with it. And like I said, the wording of the deed specifically grants us this, ability, but we notified him, again, it's, just to be nice and make sure he's on board with it, and he has no problems with it.
Yeah, and there's actually, Dreamers Farm is gonna be taking over the farm from Steve Normington. I met with those people, last weekend, and they were fully on board with it.
Andy, did you have something?
No, I love it.
That was great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's
I go
great.
down there all the
is.
time.
The poles are 800 pounds, I think,
Yes,
so,
and they're 30 feet long.
and they're 30 feet long. So if we need help moving them in,
And,
Chris Burns is strong.
right, you've pledged the support of all of the members that are not here,
Exactly.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
This guy's like a bull, you know?
I'll just put both of them on my shoulders.
Yeah, so it'd be
Oh, yeah.
it'll be a minor engineering feat, to build this, but, it won't be that hard between
Hey,
the
if the
four-wheeler.
Egyptians can build a pyramid,
Exactly,
Yeah.
we can build
We
a
can move
30-foot
some
long
logs.
bridge.
right. It's just getting them across the river, we might use a block and tackle or whatever, but we'll get it done.
That'll be great.
So we're gonna go to the selectmen, at the next selectmen's meeting to get the permission to spend this money. I have a pole supplier lined up, and they'll deliver the poles to the field, and then we'll, get them set, and then the next step is, local contractor, materials, and installing the,
Great.
bridge decking.
So when do you think it'll be done? What's your hope?
Wow. Steve.
Next Tuesday?
My initial goal was to get this done before the fishing derby, but,
Wait,
so-
this past fishing derby or the
Yes,
next
it's
year?
past fishing
Okay.
derby. So now, let's say before Halloween. Okay, that would be my goal.
Yes. Do we want to officially?
I think it'd be
give
good
our
for
support and
us to
then
give a vote that you can go to the select board with.
Selectmen say, yeah.
Right. So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2 bridges to be built with the specified funds in the Parker Park area, in the Monadnock Community Land Trust where it abuts. Does that make sense?
Good enough for me.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there a discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain simply because they'll be coming before the board at the next meeting.
Passes 3-0-1. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your work on this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Seriously, this is great.
George, while you're here, is there any update on Dara Pond milfoil?
Update on Darapon Milfoil. Okay.
No curveball.
There's a lot of it.
So we have got a quote from Arbor Pro Tree Services out in Rochester to do the milfoil treatment. I contacted them in July, and they said they were waiting for 1 or 2 things with their permit to come back from the state. And he was hoping, he said, the end of July or August, that they would be doing the treatment. Now, before they can do the treatment, they have to notify all the abutters of exactly what they're doing. The town is one of the abutters. I've given them a map, or the names of all the abutters and the different lots, so they have that information. So as soon as I find out from them when they're going to do it, I'll make sure I notify the selectmen a rec committee, conservation committee. But we don't have a date yet. I'm hoping, by the end of August, the treatment will be done.
Right.
It has to be done while the plants are actually growing, hopefully in August.
Awesome.
Very good.
Anything else?
Nope.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Sure.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming in.
Are you getting dinner?
All right, any other public input? All right, seeing none, we will close public input and move to facility and field requests. And so we have one from Pack 11, so judging that's you by your shirt, so
Small
Let's
Caesar
get a-
and tomato soup.
we'll ask you to come on up to speak to the request if you so want to, but
Spoke last week, I don't know if you need anything else from me.
okay, I wasn't here last time, so yeah. so-
Oh, yeah, you
Nope,
missed
we have the COI,
Okay,
so, we're all set with that. I think it expires 2025.
I think they run to April or to May for 1 year, so yeah, it's until
Yeah.
April or May of 2025.
I just put it in here. March of
March,
2025,
March,
so you
March.
are all set with the COIs for your requests.
I should just make that a yearly thing to get you guys that every March
Yeah,
anyways.
it's good for us to
So it's on your
have on
books.
hand, and, yeah, I think the last meeting we went through, number 1 and number 2, and we just said we couldn't vote on it till we had the COI
Yep.
in hand, so that was the only holdup.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve both of Pack 11's requests. First, to use Talent Hall Wednesday, 11/20, 6 to 9 p.m. for a scouting meeting / recruiting. And then secondly, to use Sawmill Park Wednesday, 8/21, 6 p.m. to dusk for a model rocket launching.
And the request did say they were gonna lay down boards so that,
To
there
protect
will be
your
no,
fields.
yeah, there will be no
I mean, they
damage
don't
to the
really,
fields. So, we appreciate that.
it's not NASA
so-
rockets, but
Yeah.
just to be
Yeah.
good stewards of your land.
I'll second.
all right, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? No discussion, all right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, motion carries 4-0-0.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you for coming in tonight.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, we have another request from Litchfield Youth Soccer, coming up for the fall. So Sawmill and Ennis Fields for practice schedules, and then a jamboree later on in the season. So we'll take the practices first. Question Sawmill and Ennis Fields, August 17th through November 10th, weeknights 4 to 8, weekends 8 to 6. You know, just looking at our calendar right now, it's pretty wide open still for the fall season, so I'm not seeing a bunch of conflicts or anything of that nature, but are there anticipated other requests for those fields? Mike might know best, but
We have their COI, it expires, September 1st, so they're good to start through August. I did let them know that, from September 1st on, we can approve pending we receive the new COI,
They'll get us a new one.
Yeah.
They always do.
but just so that they know.
Yeah, this is a pretty standard request, so.
Yep.
I'll just make a motion to approve, LYSL to use Sawmill Park and Ennis Fields, 8/17 to 11/10, weeknights from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. and weekends from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And Sawmill Park for, on the first or second Saturday in November for the Jamboree.
I think, well, we need a second and then discussion, so
Yeah.
I'll second the motion.
motion and a second, discussion.
The second part, because of the size, is gonna require them to, follow what the fire department has given us for porta potties.
Yep.
What they need to do. So they're saying 500 people, and I know 500 will not be there all at once. And it is,
What's up, Michael?
let's say an 8 or a 9 hour day. So we have to kind of estimate how many people will be there at one time. You think like 200?
They always bring in
Smart fields?
extra, you guys always bring in extra porta potties for the Jamboree, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's always 2 or 3 extra
yeah.
every year.
Okay, so yeah,
the
it's,
handicap,
yeah.
3 would be what's required, so it would require 2 additional for the event, according to what we have to
Yeah, I
follow
think they
now.
go even above and beyond that,
So-
so.
just so that that's known that,
There might be one conflict if something goes through. Recycled Percussion is trying to do a concert in town again, and they'd like to do it possibly at Sawmill on 8/24, which is a Saturday.
What time?
it'll be all day.
Noontime to 10 p.m. with fireworks. This is all very preliminary. I met with Melissa as well as Justin Spencer came down today to view the fields, but they're projecting it to be as big as the Sky Show in Manchester. That's what they're hoping for.
I would almost
So-
hate to have that many people on that field.
We do have that under new business. Chris was gonna speak to it tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, so that would be one of those that,
So-
if it does come to fruition, we could speak with LYSL.
Yeah.
It would be, the second weekend?
Okay, thank
The
you for that.
24th of
August.
August, the second weekend of the request. I mean, honestly, I'm not sure how much the Saturdays are gonna be used in August. I mean, my only thing is, we are gonna see more requests come in, so I mean, we're gonna have to, like, the 4 o'clock. I'll be honest, I don't know why it was submitted for 4 o'clock as opposed to 5, but, you know what I mean, we figure that we're gonna see requests come in from,
The church
Tabernacle.
Yeah.
and, you know, CHS reached out too, saying they had a few conflicts that they were wondering if they
Yeah.
have games down there. So, I mean, I don't know when their games are. I don't know what times they're at. You know what I mean? I'd actually be more worried about. I know that Tabernacle usually plays 3 to 5, so usually they're out of there before any sort of practices are even
Yeah.
started. High school doesn't usually start until 4, so I have no idea about those possible conflicts coming down the line. I mean, if high school's starting a game at 4 and they go until 6, which is usually like the time frame for that, that'll definitely conflict with some soccer activities depending on the day. But, you know, I mean, it's gonna have to be, we can try to figure and work it out once we have the requests, but, yeah.
Yeah.
There'll be, you know, there's always possible conflicts. There's always,
Right.
you know, things to have to look at.
And you guys always do a good job of working.
Right, yeah, I mean, it's not a problem working around it, it's, you know, I mean, it's just, I mean, depending on day, like, again, when you're off by 5, it doesn't really, like Tabernacle, it doesn't really affect youth. I don't know what the high school's gonna be requesting, you know what I mean?
Yeah, his email said end of September, early October. He was sent the link for the request. So
Right.
when he knows his dates to send that in.
Does the high school play on the football field?
Yes.
Okay, so
So
that's why.
apparently what happened, apparently boys soccer moved up to Division II. Girls soccer is still Division III. Because of that, they now have conflicts
Oh.
in multiple games at home. So I don't know if the track field just isn't an option at that point. I don't know if they want to break it up I mean, I don't know how good the track field is right now. I don't know if they want to break it up in different places, and that's why they're talking about it. But it seemed like there were up to 4 games that could possibly be in conflict with their home schedule, which is about half a home schedule. So, yeah.
Seems like poor planning.
Last minute division change, new AD, so
Yeah.
you have all sorts of mitigating circumstances stepping in.
Yeah, I think, you know, we can take those as they come. And I think, you know, the rec league, this is, like you said, a pretty standard request. So I
It
think they
would
have the
take
inside
precedence
line.
anyway.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
If it's a.
All right, is there further discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, and motion carries 5-0-0.
And soccer knows they need to notify police and fire, right, when they have the jamboree? Yeah, okay.
Were there-
And were you here for the updated COI talk? Theirs expires in September.
Yeah, September,
September.
that's always, it's, you know, September 1st, August 31st every year, so they'll get a new one
Yep.
Yep.
from the league,
Yep.
probably, you know, knowing the league, probably like August 31st.
Okay.
All right, were there any other facility or field requests? Folks looking through?
Didn't Burns have one?
If it did,
For
it came in,
blast?
it came in after the due date of
I thought I
the
saw
field and
something come in
facilities.
from Chris Burns. For winter workouts.
It had to have come in after the
It came
agenda
in
was
on
Yeah,
Friday.
it did. Yeah, facility request, LGSL.
Okay. What's the date on that? 'Cause I don't,
Friday.
Friday, that's why.
So they are requesting to use Talent Hall from 11/10/2024, ending 3/30/2025, beginning at 8 a.m. and ending at 12 p.m. on Sundays. So all day on Sundays. 50 to 99% Litchfield. That's pretty much it. And then the second request,
It's 5 to 8 on Sundays. Same dates.
oh, maybe he just meant to do 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Because there was two. Oh, or
No, one's in the morning, one's
8
at
to
night.
noon. Yeah, 8 to noon for 4 hours. And then,
Does that conflict with
yeah.
basketball?
No, it conflicts with baseball and softball if they're doing their winter clinics. I mean, that's a big win. That's 8 hours.
What was it last year?
Oh, wait,
That's, yeah, 7 hours.
7 hours.
So the afternoon's open for the most part, but
Right.
all right, do we want to entertain this at this time, or do we? I mean, we don't need.
I'd like to
There's
ask
more
him
to
some
go and ask.
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe ask the other leagues if they want to.
Yeah.
Because,
Ending 3:30.
Yeah, that's a big window
okay.
to give it to all one
And then
organization.
their COI is good till February 1st.
I know baseball would probably want to do winter clinics again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, to be honest, it's one of those things where over the years, like, you know, I mean, before, when Andy was doing the whole thing, it was like, before we got to start scheduling indoor stuff, it had to get into a certain quarter. So you mean, like,
Yeah.
starting to request stuff now for
November.
October, November, December, March, like January, February, March is like, we're like looking way off. We don't have any sort of idea what may be rolling down the hill. You mean what basketball may want, may not want. What if they decide this year, hey, we want Sundays? I mean, we decided that, you know, Sundays would be a good day instead. I have no idea,
Well,
but
and all the leagues used to get together, right?
Yep.
Wasn't there a meeting
Yep.
to schedule town hall?
Yeah.
So everybody'd be like, all right, well, we
Right.
have all, this is the allocated time. We gotta share it.
yeah. I mean, it's unlike the fields where there's usually plenty of space and whatever. When you start getting into there, now it's like, okay, basketball comes in, requests, you know, 5 to 9 every day of the week, weekdays. Now you're like, okay, well, are you truly using it there? Because we're under limited resources at that point. It's
Right.
not like, you know, there's a piece of green grass you can go use and you're all set.
And softball and baseball kind of worked together last year on Sundays because
Right.
we don't get the travel basketball schedule until, you know, later in the season. So a lot of the kids play travel basketball. So we end up having to switch, like, and softball used it in the morning and baseball used it in the afternoon just because of the schedule, the way it worked
Right.
out.
When do you usually get that schedule?
Like,
December 1st?
it's
Maybe.
no, we got like half the schedule in December 1st,
Yeah,
and then
it's-
we didn't get the rest of it until like mid-February. It was
Yeah.
awful.
So should we postpone this and entertain it in maybe
Yeah,
September?
I'd like to at least
When
talk to
things are
him
more
about it.
Yep.
And just see what
Finalized?
what he's thinking. If he's really think he's going to use 7 hours a day, or
How many hours was it last year? It wasn't 7 hours, wasn't it like 3 hours?
It was split time between the two of the,
Yeah, I
between
mean,
baseball and
softball-
softball might have been 6 or 7 hours, but I think the two divided up the times based
Yeah.
on what schedules
yeah,
were like.
because we had 3 crews that were using it.
like, we did like a young group, a middle group, and an older group.
All right, so folks are okay to park this item
Yeah.
to a future agenda?
Yep.
All right then, moving on to old business, update on capital improvement project requests, and those are due in this week, so thank you everybody for getting back to me last week. There were just a couple additions that Jeff recommended, and so otherwise there were no changes, so I just wanted to get feedback on those. One was an outdoor stage, so kind of an area to host public events, concerts, something of that nature. And the other one was like new fields or new playground.
Oh, yeah, he mentioned something like looking new locations or land for new fields, playgrounds,
Indoor facility.
because everything's, I know, yeah.
Indoor facility. Awesome.
Kinda nice.
So I wanted to ask about that. So, a new playground is something we've talked about before, because we could put that in an existing property. That's a lighter lift than like a new field. Because I don't know where we
I
put
thought
it.
he
if
made
that's a
it
new-
sound like a whole new park area, like an additional park space where there would be fields and playground, because everything's booked so solid. I mean, with the CIP, it can't hurt to have it there.
I feel like we need to replace the playground that we have
Yeah,
at Dara, because it's 30 years old at this point.
Yep, so that's on the list. for
Oh,
sure.
it
Yep.
is already
Yep.
in there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, what we currently have is new rec center, as the big, huge ticket item. Replace talent hall floor, a new playground at Sawmill, tennis court resurfacing, upgrade the playground at Dara, treat Dara for swim quality, that one's still on there,
Yeah.
but it's ongoing maintenance too. And then what Jeff added in there for the stage and new fields.
Do we have anything with tennis courts?
Resurface,
Resurface.
So-
Okay.
yep.
Cool.
Can we list it as resurface or rebuild in case something that comes up where, I don't, because rebuild would be different than just resurface.
It would be, as we had it, it was like rip up the foundation,
Okay.
the court and then repave it. But you're suggesting like an expansion?
Well, because it may have to be moved with the new ADA guidelines, it may need to be moved over 6 feet. So the whole thing may need to be rebuilt versus just repaved in that spot. So to cover, in case something like that happens, I also think we can get more grant money if
Why does it need to be moved for ADA compliance?
if we do updating, we're required to follow ADA standards. So everything as is grandfathered in, like we were for the parking for the pickleball
Right.
courts. And the handicap parking will have to be on that side of the tennis courts, or we would have to move handicap parking for the tennis courts to the other side onto the grass. It's a question of space between the pickleball courts and the tennis courts and your ADA accessible parking. So I'm saying that might cause us to have to move them over, so I'd rather have it in the CIP. And we'd hate to have something come back to us and say, well, it said resurface, not move and rebuild, but there's generally more grants out there when you have to comply with ADA standards and that type of stuff, so I just think it covers us a little bit more. I'm not saying that's what I want to do, but I really suspect after dealing with the parking with the pickleball, ADA compliant, that there's gonna be some type of issue there where we're updating.
So
it and
what you're
then-
telling me is we built the pickleball courts too close to the tennis courts to cover us in the future.
I don't know, we couldn't push the pickleball courts any further back because of the wetlands.
Because of,
Yeah.
wetlands, landlocked. But if we
That's all.
resurface,
Or we could, just on the other side of the tennis courts, have a
Put
turn
another
in there
parking.
for handicap accessible parking, but I don't think it would hurt us in the CIP to have it listed, because we don't know, we may have to. We may not, but,
Yeah, but this is kind of the long-term
yeah.
list of, fees. Okay. So we only had it in there as 50,000, because we were thinking of resurfacing.
Oh, okay.
So we would need to up that to what, a couple, several hundred thousand, if pickleball courts were full cost, closer to
Oh,
200.
God, we'd have one or two.
Yeah, so,
It's just something to be advised of. Same thing if we redo the playground at Dara. The new ADA standards that went into effect January of 2024 require ADA accessibility to every single piece of equipment, which means 6-foot wide paths, paved.
yeah, so we have that as $250,000.
So that's gonna be a big expense. And that-
Playground?
Yeah, that,
That's not happening.
and that law just went into effect this past January.
What, do you not like kids?
I have kids. No, so no, I don't really particularly care for them.
So I'm just saying some of those things have changed a little bit because the laws have
Yep.
changed in what we can and can't.
All right, so can I get help with a dollar figure for the tennis courts then? 300,000?
Yeah.
Sure.
Just kind of thinking about what the
Yeah.
pickleball courts cost and what they would have cost if
Yeah.
every expense was.
Yeah, that would be expensive.
How about for an outdoor stage?
Oh, I have no idea about that. How big do you want it?
$250,000, probably
Yeah.
250.
Yeah, I see.
Because again, you'd have to have parking and ADA accessibility. Talking a big project.
And where we're gonna put it?
Just for people watching, this is a wish list. It's not saying
Yeah,
that we're gonna
right.
put this into the
No.
budget.
Yeah. And for a new field, like a new property,
Oof.
I don't know what property goes for.
Now, most of the fields that we have, weren't they built by using impact funds?
Yes.
The additional, the two updates on the, softball fields.
Yeah.
Two of the softball fields were paid with impact fees.
Softball was impact fees, sawmill was impact fees, baseball was impact fees.
But if it's in the CIP, we can still use impact fees.
Yeah, I'm just,
Yeah,
I don't know what we have in there for impact fees. I don't think we're even close
no.
to building a field.
I don't foresee us needing more fields really though. I feel like we have fairly adequate fields at the moment, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a crazy need for more fields
No.
right now.
The busiest is Sawmill probably.
Right, that needs to, I mean, again, coordination just needs to constantly happen. That's
Exactly.
really what it comes down to.
Yep. Better
So,
coordination.
is there gonna be someone who's unhappy that they can't go on a field at a certain time at a certain point? Probably, but I'm sure that there's usually some other time that they can go on the field that's free, and it's just a matter of juggling.
If anything, we've expanded our field usage to outside organizations a little
Yep.
bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So if we had to, we could dial that back and
Yeah.
just give,
Right.
more access to our community
Mhm.
if the need persists,
Well, the deed to Parker Park says that playground can be built there. I don't know how, but that was part of the deed for recreational use of a playground.
All right, so it sounds like folks are okay to leave that off the list for now?
Yeah, I mean, as a definitive need, as we're ramping up costs for other things we possibly want.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would demand a part-time or full-time recreation.
We're getting to the point though where the management and having to do the billing is, it's a lot for volunteer work.
Okay, so I think I'm good with this for now. I'll submit those to the town. It'll go before the committee shortly. They may be back in touch with us later on in the cycle with additional questions or refinement on those pieces. Thank you. Next, update on the bylaws revisions. So brought those to Kim. She thought they looked broadly good. She was just checking with legal on a quick review to make sure there's nothing in there that we needed to address or take out, but otherwise they looked, more in line with other commissions in town. So that's kind of our goal there. So I should be able to come back next month with hopefully a draft for us to review and then take more formally to ratify, in the next couple meetings thereafter. All right, next, we are still absent an official secretary for the commission, so looking to see if we might be able to fill the officer role.
So last meeting, you weren't here, right, Peter?
Correct.
So what we talked about was I would be willing to stay on as secretary if we took turns with the agenda, and you would do the agenda based on your month that you're checking emails, because that would make sense with all the facility requests. And Chris did go to the Google, is it Google Documents? No, Google Drive, and put a spot where we can put in all the, so if it's your month and you get the request, you put them into that folder, so that town hall has access to them. And then I don't know, there was a question is if we could do that, or were agendas the secretary's job? But I looked through the bylaws and it does not say the secretary has to do the agenda, and that's the one that we talked about a lot, about how time consuming it is. And then if we don't have the information, especially on the field and facility requests, it makes it hard for Matt to do the minutes.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of information and times and who, and that it is time consuming, and we talked about how we would set, everything needs to be in for those, like the Wednesday before the agenda's due, because my agenda's due on Friday. And it has to be in before the end of the day Friday, so it can be posted, and if Monday's a holiday, it has to be in Thursday. So, and then we said if one comes late, then they have to show up too. We didn't vote on it, but we said they would have to show up, just to try to make things easier for everyone involved, but it's super time consuming. I would be willing to stay on as secretary and the other things that go with that and continue doing what I'm doing, but I have, the last several meetings kind of said how much I really hate it and it's not my thing, but I've stayed on with it because we've needed it, but I do not want to make more work for you or Peter in your positions, because you've already got enough going on with the seats that you hold.
Yeah, we all discussed it.
But we
last week, and-
haven't had a full group meeting and, a full rec meeting in months. And I can't even remember, who was at the last meeting? You were here?
I was.
You were here.
Chris was here.
But I really want to do more work with grants. I want to get started with the AARP stuff again. And I really don't want to do, the agendas it gives me anxiety. Stuff is coming in late all the time, and,
If
you
it's too late, it's not going.
But do we say that? Like,
Yes.
so like I would say to Chris, sorry,
Next
Chris,
month it's
you're
me,
a
I'll
day
prove
late.
it.
No, we're not doing your,
Never, like, we always used, like, for years, like, the agenda was done the day of the meeting. Yeah, I
Right.
know it's
we
just
cannot.
understood, that just recently changed, like, within the
Well,
last.
it didn't recently change. I wasn't aware.
We also asked for requests to be in like, a week beforehand or 2 weeks before the meeting, like, not like, a day either, so.
But it
like-
doesn't always pan
No,
out
I
that
get
way,
it, but-
where something happens and somebody needs an immediate field.
There are exceptions.
There are exceptions.
Usually it's not these exceptions that are
Right.
submitted last minute. It's usually like,
I want.
I need something in 3 weeks or 4 weeks for a month or two or whatever, and then we get it like, the day before, like the day of a meeting, and we need it like, for 3, like, usually, what I'm trying to say is usually the ones that we get late are the ones that can be planned out, as opposed to like, like, we need something tomorrow for a day.
Yeah.
So I sent emails to the groups that typically use our fields in the fall.
Mhm.
And I said, we're only meeting once in July. If you need the field August 5th, you need to submit by this date. These are the dates we're meeting in August, and these are the dates that your submissions are due. Otherwise, you'll need to, like I did, make it clear and give them enough notice, so that I can, and not just me, whoever does it, can meet that date that it's due, and not, have to worry about, now we gotta add this, now we gotta add that. If you don't get it in, you need to come in. And then I did mention that our chair and vice chair both have that option if a field is flooded at CHS, an emergency situation, that permission can be granted. And then in the case of like the high schools don't know if they're gonna make playoffs, or LMS soccer doesn't know, you know, and sometimes they're given 3 days' notice. Those types of situations are fine to reach out and get approval, but your regular usage, we'll see if, you know, if people follow it.
Yeah.
But I'd still rather not be secretary, but still be involved and continue on with the things I'm doing. But
So
I
let
think
me,
we've already gone through everybody here, and nobody wants secretary, and
yeah, well, let me look at this a bit of a different way, because for the secretary, it is an official officer position.
Right.
So there is some validity to that being its own individual versus us doing it by committee, you know.
so that's why I looked at the bylaws.
Yeah, so I'm looking at those now. There's nothing in there about the agenda.
No,
And so that, you know, I think can go back to Chris and I to figure out. The official things the secretary needs to do is maintain a record of the meetings, so make the minutes, you know, catalog those transactions which are in the minutes and decisions of the commission, which, so that's all maintaining the records of approved minutes, and issue notices of regular and special meetings, which
and
we
the
do on the
meetings are
website.
posted.
Yeah, so
They're on
those
the-
are pretty much already on autopilot and how that's done,
Yeah.
right? But that is, I mean, that's common for secretary, like they're the official keeper of record, for the body. So I think,
But even that's done by Matt.
Right. We have minutes submitted, so it's just making sure the minutes are put in the right folder wherever,
Right.
like,
Right.
and do we do
And
that, or does Matt do
COIs,
that?
I mean,
think
things like
Matt
the
does that on
COIs
his own.
now have to be, it's not listed in there, but everything has to be in a folder accessible to town
Right.
Yeah.
administrator.
Yeah.
Um,
So I will volunteer to take the agenda piece, you know, and I'll work with Chris on that.
No,
It's okay. Like, that task is not in here at all for the secretary position.
listen, you were secretary for how many years? How many years more than you wanted to do it?
No, it was the same as you, so, yeah, I think you were longer than me, actually, at this point. There we go. And now I've learned how to do it better by watching you, so. But I do think putting up some guardrails, like, if we don't get it in, then it's not going in, because we now know we have to post the agenda sooner than we have been previously, and I think that's our line of like, we
Yeah.
didn't get it,
Be
it's
posted
posted.
And I don't mind continuing to send those emails out and saying, these are the days it's due, this, so we can post in time, otherwise you have to come to the meeting for, if you know, if it's not in time for the agenda, then you've gotta come to a meeting. But we've gotta decide if we're gonna really reinforce that or not, you know, because that's when it's like, oh, we'll let it go for this person or that person, you know? We're not talking about exceptions, you know?
I'm fine with enforcing it.
Yeah, yeah. The onus back on the 2 weeks.
Yep, so let me chat with Chris about how he wants to approach that, but I'm happy to take the agenda task. I do, though, want to see if we can get someone to be the official officer secretary position, because I think that is important for the town to have an
Yeah.
individual member, yeah, as,
So we have gone through everyone and they have said no, even
Okay.
people who aren't here.
so,
So, I guess just vote me back in, and
Yeah.
I'll just do it, and I'm gonna stand firm.
I struggle with that because you've done a tenure of service already on this, and you've made it clear that you don't want to continue that, so I want to be
But why
respectful
should you
of it.
take it off? You've done
I'm just taking the
double
agenda
tenure,
piece,
you
so,
know?
and as I just kind of laid out there, this is a much lower lift.
Okay.
With that piece removed, and if we set up some parameters, it really is just validating that we have minutes approved, accessible to the public, and that they're valid, and that notices go out, and everything is noticed properly, which we get the support of Kim and others to do so. So we're missing a number of members tonight. I think we can hold this for one more meeting.
Okay.
So they can kind of have the benefit of hearing that change in the responsibilities. But then we gotta ask them to step up for that role.
Does someone, I don't know how to do this, but in the Google Drive, does someone know how to make a folder to put the COIs in?
Yeah, yep.
If someone can do that, then I can,
I think there's already folders created.
there's a folder for field and facility requests in the Google Drive. We need the 24, 25 COIs so that I can insert them there, and town administrator and
Yep.
town office can have access to those. I just am not that tech savvy. I don't use a computer in my job anymore, so
We can figure that out, so.
all right, and then I will go in and move all the COIs, the current ones, in there.
Thank you. All right, moving on next to ropes course, an update from Judy.
Yep, so there was a second inspection, and we still have on us a piece of land that needs to be finished being cleared. The highway department did a lot of it in the fall with the first inspection. So I'm meeting with Kevin on Thursday at 1 to go over that section. Steve Weber is going to also be there because we've been working on this project together. I did complete the online form so that they can keep track of man hours. But since then, we also had a tree fall on the ropes course that needs to be removed. It totally split and fell with the rainstorms we had. So we're gonna be looking at that too. The school does have the money in their budget for the actual taking care of the ropes course itself. The teacher doing it is going through more certification work, like the next level, I guess. They plan to start it in the fall, in September. So I put the deadline for completion like mid-August, so that it's ready for the start of the school year. But that meeting will be on Thursday anyway, and then I can just update everybody, send out an email. So I did the request for the tree removal too. It's not anything those two things that we can do ourselves. And then the school has the funding for their new helmets and everything that they need. Their insurance, their certification costs, all of that. So,
Very good. Sounds like it's
that's
moving
where we
ahead pretty well.
stand with, yeah.
Thank you.
I had something old business, I still need to follow up on a slide or
Oh, yeah.
blocker panel for the broken slide at Dara.
Okay. Thank you. Any help with that as far as?
I just keep forgetting about it.
Yeah.
Can set myself a reminder.
No worries, yep. We all have that struggle. All right, moving on to new business, irrigation pump at Sawmill, Andy.
So I'm actually gonna expand this a little bit because I talked to Ryan today.
Okay.
He just sent me a text with a few notes, summary of our call,
Yeah.
whatnot. He just wanted to let us know that all the grub control, weed control is complete at this time on all the fields.
Great.
He's gonna do a second weed control application at Dara once the daytime temps have died down a little bit, just because it's been super hot and he doesn't want to burn the grass. All the goal areas at Sawmill were filled in and seeded. Unfortunately, as the seedlings began to emerge, the daytime temps soared around 90 degrees and wiped them out. And additionally, kids moved the nets to areas that were under repair, and they got trampled again. So he's going to make a second attempt at seeding it, and we'll let you know how it goes. And maybe we can section those off or something.
I'm always for sectioning stuff off. It just never seems to
Yeah.
go along with anyone else's plans. So
Yeah. I don't know. He's trying his best.
I know. No. I know Ryan's trying his best. Trust
Yeah.
me. I know he is. You don't even realize how upset I was when when I got that picture of the goal net. I'm like,
Yeah. So, the irrigation pump at Sawmill is original to the field. He said it runs 10 to 12 hours a day, 5 months a year. So it's a lot of wear and tear on the pump. And he thinks that we should probably start getting quotes now to replace it. It's getting tired, worn out, and at some point it's just going to die. So rather than wait until it does die, it'd be nice to get out ahead of it. He's going to get me quotes on that so I can have some numbers next week or next meeting. And he's just looking for the dates of fall baseball, soccer, and end dates of softball, just so we can schedule the aeration out of the fields. So I have kind of the rough start date for soccer. Seems like
the start date you're looking for?
yeah,
Yeah, it's
8/17.
going to be whenever that date is. Yeah, whenever the request came in.
Yep.
Yeah, so the 17th, and that's probably close to the end date. Is until the league schedule comes out, we won't know what's a good day for the jamboree. Be it the 2nd, 3rd, 9th, or 10th, whatever that one of those.
He just wants to aerate prior to the season starting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's necessarily.
Oh, I thought you asked for an end date in there.
End date of softball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Softball, I don't know, they have fall league, don't they?
Yeah.
So.
Are they still going right now? I know the field was packed.
We have the
other night.
next, few weekends, there's,
I'll text Bernsey and see if he knows.
yeah, there's tournament and there's a college showcase. I don't know the exact dates offhand, but I know in August, there's several weekends.
Okay. And that's it.
Very good. Thank you for the update.
Yep.
All right, excuse me, shed door in need of repairs.
Yeah, we got either an email or somebody used
Yeah,
the
the
QR
police-
code
The
or.
police
okay.
called us, I think,
I'll
or
vote
no,
it.
emailed.
Bob Boda from the police department.
So the shed door, I think we've known that shed door's almost kind of
Which
useless.
shed door?
I think he's talking about, he said the one to the right, right?
I thought that's what he said, yeah.
Yeah. The one where the ramp was,
Yeah.
Falling
That whole
apart.
shed is actually going to cave in on it.
Is that other shed in better shape?
the other shed is smaller, but it is in good shape, but the roof doesn't leak and there's not much stuff in it. Cause we had to cut the lock to see what was in there. There's a few bags of
Move everything
cement.
over and we'll just,
And not
down.
everything will fit in there because it's not as big, but there were no animals burrowed in there.
There,
and-
do we still need everything that's in that shed?
say, there's probably.
Yeah,
No, there's
a
not a lot
there's
of
like
stuff, 'cause I
snow
cleaned it out.
blowers and
No.
No, not that, the one that's
Oh.
broken.
yeah.
Oh, the one that's fallen apart.
Right, the last time I saw what was in there, I'm like, why do we even have?
There's
Yeah.
tables, chairs,
Right.
and then a bunch of junk.
Right.
Well, that whole area, that's where needs to be cleaned out, like there's rolled up fencing, there's broken soccer posts, that whole area just needs to be cleaned out. So, I don't know if somebody else can go take a look at the, but it seemed like it has some counter and storage area, but there was no water leaking through, and there wasn't a lot of stuff in there. I think I gave the eggs to Spirit of Litchfield. There's a few bags of cement. They might be solidified by now, they might not, I don't know. It used to be the softball snack shack.
Oh, okay.
I'll ask Kevin if he wants the fencing, if there's anything he could use it for,
Yeah.
instead of just throwing it out. If not, put it on the trailer and take it to the dump.
Well, we tried like setting up nights to do that and it just didn't work. We were gonna do it at the Dara cleanup night, but we didn't have enough people, it got dark, so.
So now, is it the shed that has all the junk in it, or is it the empty one?
Broken door?
Yeah.
I think it's the shed that has all the stuff in it, where the ramp,
That's what I thought it was, yeah.
yeah, he said to the right,
description.
It's probably just rotten.
it is.
Yeah.
The door's rotten, the
Yeah, there's
ramp was
I
rotten.
repaired that ramp years ago
Yeah,
with a couple pieces of plywood to make it under that top one, there's like just a huge hole.
yeah.
So, you mean, it's been pieced together for years at this point.
And now there's a big something living under it. It's a huge hole. Just a warning. if
That
you
happens
don't
too.
pull something. It's a really big hole.
Maybe this weekend I'll try to get down. It depends on what happens.
I'll help you, but if I see a snake, I'm done.
All right, so yeah, so if you might be able to get down there, or anyone else, you could take a peek just to see if there's a short-term fix we could do as far as putting up new hinge, whatever needed, just to
Or
keep it
start
shut.
moving everything
We could
out.
move some stuff to the other one and even just board it up if we think we don't want anybody getting in there or getting hurt. Maybe get some plywood or something.
No,
Yeah,
like that.
so let's take a look at it and see what,
my son has basketball sales on Monday, so I could do an hour and a half while he's at basketball.
Alright.
You know, moving and whatnot.
all right.
So
Because we wouldn't want to just rip off the door and leave it open, because then people are
We're
gonna,
gonna-
kids are gonna get
Yeah.
in
I
there.
say we move it to the other shed and
Yeah.
just use the tractor to knock it down and put it in the dumpster.
Someone wants to use the tractor.
Can
to
we
knock
do
stuff
that in
down.
a day or
It's
two? Can that be done over the weekend? Do you, like in a day or two? Or do we need
My
to
wife's
just
having
make sure we have a
surgery Thursday,
piece?
so it
Oh,
depends.
no, you're not gonna
Depends
be
how knocked
available
out
this
she is.
weekend?
If she's knocked out for a couple hours,
Unless I go
Disappear.
sit with her, but I really should help. Should we, if we need a piece of plywood, we can just
yeah.
message you or Chris and get that approval for
Chris,
something
yep.
like that.
Yeah, Chris can do that. All right, and looks like we need a new dumpster at Roy.
Chris, was gonna talk to that. Apparently, our dumpster doesn't like tip and lock or
Yeah,
something
locking,
like,
it's-
you know what you're talking
and to
about?
be honest, the one at Corning the locking mechanism has a little metal cable, and the metal cable snapped.
Oh, really?
It just rusted off.
Okay.
So next time I'm at the dump, I'll talk to Dave Mellon about it.
Okay.
See if he
Both
can.
of them?
About both of them, yeah. I typically go Wednesdays, so tomorrow I'll stop and see Dave.
You get to jump on chores Wednesday? Man,
You know, I have to do it. I have to do it when I have time.
that's right. Okay, thank you. So you'll follow up on that. Maybe
Yeah, I'll
just-
follow up on that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.
For the Sky Show, do you want to speak to this?
Yeah, I'll talk about it a little bit. As I alluded to earlier, I actually met with Justin today. I met with their manager a while ago. We were approached by Chaos and Kindness Recycle Percussion about doing a Sky Show in town. They came down, we looked at the different parks, Roy Memorial, Sawmill, all the different options. The last one we had was about 1,000 people. They're thinking this
Yeah.
could bring in 10,000.
We're gonna park everybody.
That's the biggest.
Well, there's
that's
a
the
lot
gotcha.
of,
Parking and transportation. Now,
last
town
time to
administrator spoke
1,000
with-
for like 3 or 4
the town
hours.
administrator spoke with a couple of the, like with Mel's and LKQ and, Small Tube, about parking there, and they said, yeah, we're willing to help you out, we can. Then there's some parking at the school, but the problem will be is, well, I don't think you're gonna get 10,000 people. I hope you don't get 10,000 people, but then it would be, you'll have to shuttle them with buses. So,
If it's free, you're gonna get their
I
following.
feel like it's gonna ruin that field.
Oh,
Having
it's going
10,000
to.
people walking
right before the
Because,
season?
and they're gonna be
right
there
before the season.
10, 11 or 12 hours, but there's even more. I mean, it's a great thing if you've ever been. It really, I used to go when I was in high school, they used to have it, but it was at Arms Park in Manchester. They shut down Commercial Street.
yeah, it was huge in Manchester.
They
You'd
shoot
get
the
20,000
fireworks,
people,
but
then
it's, when it's
people would
free,
walk
you have a
because
hard time controlling who's gonna come.
Oh, you're gonna
And
be,
even
you're
there-
gonna have people, if you do it at Sawmill, you're still having people park up and down Albuquerque. We
Well,
have
you're
that
gonna have a
problem. We
line
have-
of people.
We have that problem with the Halloween tournament, and we're trying to wave them in, and they won't
They won't-
wave
they
in.
won't get
So if you're gonna be like moving them somewhere else, like you basically have to have like
buses.
someone up and down
Yeah.
the road, making sure the people aren't parking either.
And somebody counting to make sure only a certain amount go in with the line
Their
down the
tentative
street.
date was, August 24th is what they're shooting for. I don't know what's gonna happen, if it's gonna happen at all. There's a lot to it, and the best location would probably be Sawmill, cause it's a nice big open park, plenty of room for fire services, but the whole point is, where do you park people, how do you transport them, how do you get them back afterwards?
I'll go on the
So-
record and say I do not support the use of Sawmill for this project.
But I don't know if this is a rec.
I
Chris
do
has been
not.
the representative from rec on it, and I don't
It
know
is-
that it is a rec thing. It
The rec
seems
has
like.
to, I would think the rec has to authorize these.
I would absolutely
So,
think
I
that.
did a little research into what happened in Manchester and then our guidelines. So just as an idea, and I don't want to sound like negative because I love all the music and the bands and the great fireworks, but Manchester, when they had their last one, needed, in addition to what they used for their police force, 76 additional security coming from Londonderry, Nashua, Homeland Security, and State Police. According to our our town guidelines for bathrooms, portables, if there are 5,000 people, we need 63. And if there are 10,000 people, we need 125 portable bathrooms. I don't even know how many trash dumpsters or who would empty the trash all day long, because there's gonna be food trucks, right? Possibly a beer tent, just little things like that. And then who's responsible for repairing the field? Because the one that you headed at the softball fields, it was like for 3 or 4 hours, people were seated. It was 1,000 people. There was
Yeah, it
no
was
damage
like
to the fields.
5
Here,
to 8, 5
you're
to 9.
talking
It was-
people who come and eat and drink
Is this all day?
Yes.
I didn't realize
It's
it was all
11
day.
to
Noon
7.
Noon to.
Or I mean
10
11 to, yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna destroy the field.
Yeah.
I don't even know where we would put, for
mean-
me, it says, I'm like,
I mean,
although our
I-
town guidelines say we can put 10,000 people in there, if there's an emergency situation, we're kind of,
we could put 10,000 people at Sawmill.
based on what, yeah, Steve Weber looked into
Yeah,
what the space for
9,600
people.
according
Yeah.
to the square footage. No, that was at Roy Moore. Actually, I think Roy might be a little bit bigger than
Sawmill's bigger.
But the,
Right.
according
We
to
looked at
the,
the
according to
maps.
the, if you have a 2x2 section for each person, you can get like 96.
And I know we have CERT people, but that's different than, they're volunteers. CERT is gonna be very,
The
yeah.
difference is, the last one was 1,000 people, it was a short event. It was a
Tickets
nice,
are
cool
pre-purchased.
night. Tickets were pre-purchased, so we knew, and the amount of people on the field didn't even go, there was less people on the field for that than there was for the softball
Yeah.
tournaments. Much less cars.
And they had chairs,
And
they
only
were
went out,
sitting.
they had the stage, and then the people were not even where the softball fence is now, the temporary. They barely reached that. So that was 1,000 people, 10,000
For a few hours.
for a few hours.
Yeah.
And there was no issues, no problems. The grass looked fine afterwards, but
Yeah.
once again, less people, shorter amount
Long,
of
shorter duration.
And
yeah.
prepaid,
prepaid. So
right? Free. I just don't think we have.
free,
the
and then a
support
VIP
to-
section where they'll
No
sell
idea.
tickets for like $100 for 1,500 or something to pay for it.
I mean, the other thing is too, look at our volunteers that night. You and I were there. We had some people sign up to do check-in or whatever. As soon as band started playing, they like disappeared, like didn't stay at their
So-
spot. It's gonna take an enormous amount of
So
volunteers,
that's
and
the
you're gonna
idea
have
of
to
the Sky
commit to
Show.
it.
I assume the rec would have to put in their vote towards it. I don't know if you guys wanna do it tonight or wait till next week when you have more members or whatever else. Kim Kleiner is on vacation this week, so she might be watching and listening, I don't know. But like I said, as of today, Justin came down and I showed him what we're thinking. Biggest concern with them is also parking.
Steve, what's the feeling of the group involved, that's been involved to date, like when you've had your meetings? Like, I know you're the Board of Selectmen rep, Chris is
Was-
rec, there's
yeah,
gotta be
fire,
fire, police. Any other Board of Selectmen or Kim, or what's their, did they feel that we can
We could pull it off.
safely pull it off?
Yep. Police and fire believe that they would
They
not
can
have a
get the
problem.
support in,
Yep,
Is this
Like
the primary
70.
location being considered?
Sawmill.
It is, okay.
does that,
Yeah,
so-
they looked at a couple other locations, but they really want to come back to here. They're not doing it at Manchester. They found out they wanted to do it at Rochester, but I guess Rochester has a rule against fireworks, so they can't, and they really want to have fireworks.
Merrimack said no.
Yeah, I haven't heard.
Do we
that
know why
directly.
Manchester declined?
Don't know.
No. I think it's great program, the bands that they get are great, the fireworks are unbelievable.
I'm
But
sure it's
nervous
lovely.
with
I'm kind of on the
Litchfield.
same page as Andy. I'm really worried about the field. Mike too. Like, so we don't have a request before us tonight.
That's free.
We have another meeting before then. I think I would certainly want to hear more details, like explicitly, like what's the plan. But boy, the
August
risk to the
13th.
field that would be. I mean, Brian's work would be down the drain, and would take us the season to recover.
I would want to talk to him and get his input.
Right.
Right before
Say,
soccer.
hey, what's this gonna do to the field?
Yeah.
Like, I think he would know if anybody.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so the porta, like payment, like if you need, we say, oh, it's gonna be 5,000 people,
Let's not
66
dive into it
portables,
any
that's
deeper.
all
So,
covered?
right now, the feeling of this board is no. Let's discuss it with an official information. Hopefully, I'll have more detail in a couple days, and we'll bring it up at the next meeting.
Yeah, so I don't think we're at a no just yet.
Right, it's
but
just-
concerned
Trying to
and
take
want more
concerns.
information.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think everybody would love to see this event. It sounds fantastic. It's
Can
just
you ask
they
like
need to feel-
financial responsibility, what would be like on
Yes.
our part? The porta potties,
still
the
being worked out.
trash, the if field repairs are needed, just like what would be expected from us financially?
Yeah, that's all still being worked out, all those details.
Thank you much. All right, other business. Are there other items folks want to bring forward tonight?
So I have problems with August. I'm traveling for work, both the first, or the August 13th meeting and as well as the August 24th meeting. I'll be out of town.
Okay.
But Chris is involved in the Sky Show meetings, right? So he would have information if you guys meet again.
So I
Can
might
we
need
get a
to
new selectmen's rep?
tease me. So I need to swap with somebody for, August's meeting.
Emails?
I'm supposed to be doing the meeting minutes or the meeting.
I think
Yeah.
he's taking.
I'll swap with you, buddy.
Okay.
I don't know what month I am, but I'll swap with
You
you.
probably just had July, right, where you have 1 week?
No, I had July.
Okay.
I was
All right.
doing August too, but then you came back because I took your August.
So you'll be able to do it?
You became.
Yeah, I'll take care of emails and whatever, agenda or whatever,
Well,
whatever we're doing.
Yeah, the
Peter's
agendas are sitting with me at the moment, and I'm gonna talk with Chris about it.
It's really just emails?
It's really just emails, but if you got a busy month that takes you out of hand, then it might still be worth just
Yeah. That'd be
doing that.
best.
Okay, so thank you, Andy, for that.
And then I won't be at those 2 meetings.
Understood.
I don't think there'll be too many requests because we already got soccer, so there'll be LMS and whatever CHS
Yeah.
needs those
We'll
dates.
see.
There
Things always
shouldn't
pop
be
up.
too much.
It's actually, the second meeting is the 27th, not the 24th.
Oh, sorry, might be a typo. See, I'm a terrible secretary.
Not at all. All right, I got 2 quick things, just a heads up for us to start thinking about as August comes along. That kind of is the kickoff to the budget season, so we're gonna start to be asked about that. So just keep in mind things such as the, what do you say, the
pump replacement.
pump, yes, thank you. Things that we might want to consider adding in to this year's requests. Lastly, just an update on the Economic Development Committee, so I represent us on that. We had the big survey in the spring, we've worked through that and are kind of moving to the next step of focus groups, and now we look to have Thursday, September 12th as an evening open to community members to join focus groups to get further feedback on their thoughts on economic development, what it means, what they're looking for, what they're not looking for. So if folks can just keep that date in the back of their mind, there'll be more promotion, but we would love anybody here or anybody else in town for you to encourage them to show up and give us their input on September 12th. Wait, it's Thursday, right? Yep. September 12th. All right, that's all I had. Any other business? Seeing none, motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.